Well, I'll leave.
Are we recording, Steve? Yes.
Yes,
Yes, it's now recording. So we missed the first one, but not to worry. My comments were very similar to that of the Australian judge. I like the bottom half of the picture. I thought that worked quite well. I like the shape that it's created. I just, even though it's been converted to monochrome, I feel as though it's not maximizing the idea as much as possibly it could. And therefore, I did wonder whether possibly the color would work slightly better than the monochrome, although I'm a big fan of monochrome. So I only gave this one 10.
Steve?
I'm sorry, I'm still struggling to find it, Sue.
Okay, so the Australian judge thought it was a lovely, simple black and white image. Long exposure has been well handled, and having the horizon line in the middle of the image seems to work. He felt there was enough light tones in the sky to add interest, and there was very good texture and detail in the pylons and timber structure. And he awarded it 13 points. Bonnie and Delaney.
I like this. I thought the setup was very good. If you've actually taken both models to this location and managed to set it up like this, then great, because it's a great location. I do like the way you can see the barrel of the gun on the gentleman, and then the other gun by the side of the lady in the distance. The colors work very, very well. The background's been really superbly handled color-wise, and it interprets the scene very well. The fact that the lady is actually looking across to the gentleman who's looking at me, I think all works well. The only slight debate I had in my mind was the smoke. I wonder whether the photographer slightly enhanced it to make it more dramatic, but I love the picture. It really worked for me, and that one gets 15.
Okay, so from Australia, they thought it was a nicely composed composite, good detail throughout and storytelling. A bit concerned that the lighting seems to be coming from different directions, which could cause confusion to the viewer. And like David, he was a bit concerned about the smoke from the cigarettes, a little bit fanciful. The faces of the characters show good detail and expression, and overall a fairly good attempt, and it was awarded 11 points.
Sorry, what's the name of that picture, Sue?
That was Bonnie and Delaney.
I haven't got it written down.
Is it in the same order?
Well, no, sorry.
Which
I'll-
are you doing, Australia or UK?
Well, I got the list you've sent me.
So what's the first one on your list?
A Calm Morning.
Right, so you won't have Bonnie and Delaney on there.
Bridget, just do the ones you've got on your list.
Okay.
You're right.
I've now found it, Sue.
Right. A Bronze Christmas Rose.
Very nicely photographed, isn't it?
Wow.
Superb detail. The textures on it are really, really good. I'm sure the colors are totally natural, but they stand out against that black background very nicely, don't they? It's one that grows on me each time I see it. I think it's simple and nicely arranged, but it's the textures that work for me. And this one got 12.
Steve?
Yeah, Bronze Christmas Rose. The judge said a nicely composed and captured image of this flower. The background enhances the detail in the roses. The lighting has been well managed. However, there is a slight loss of detail in the center of the bottom of the middle roses. The angle at the top of the rose enhances the center detail overall, and nicely constructed image.
The Boxer.
I mean, I love the composition. I think that having the gloves dominant and the whites of the eyes really work with the power, if you like, of the gloves. I think converting to monochrome really is very, very important indeed. I got two very, very slight niggles. I think the right-hand side is probably slightly too much. And I've looked at it on multiple different monitors, and I think the eyes are not quite sharp enough for me. Now, I suspect whoever set this up, this was the whole intention that they were trying to get. So they weren't interested that the eyes were absolutely pin sharp. They wanted the impact of the young boxer, of the gloves, and say the composition is good. But it just, I didn't like those eyes just fractionally sharper. So that got 12.
Steve,
Yeah, the boxer, a well-composed action shot. The gloves are very sharp and show good detail. The face is nicely in focus. However, the I can't pronounce it. Sierra appears to have been a little over whitened. There is some grain noise in the boxer. Not sure whether this was due to the high ISO or was added in post-processing. Not sure about the large black area on the right. Tends to unbalance the image a little. A nice catchlight has been captured in the eyes.
score,
11.
orchid mantis.
Yeah, I have to say that there's a lady in my own federation, Marlies Chell, who goes around all the clubs and has gone outside our federation and sets up. I'm not saying that this is one of her setup shots, but we've had this. I've got many pictures of my own of the orchid mantis. Not as good as this, and when you see it like this, it does illustrate this magnificent specimen. I mean, people don't tend to look at that detail or see these wonderful creatures, and it's majestic, isn't it? Lovely shape, and the way that leg is or arm is reaching out works very well. I think it's very, very, very sharp throughout, but my minor criticism is that I think there's parts of the mantis have been slightly blown out, and I would have liked a little bit more detail to have been retained. So this one gets 11.
A beautiful captured image, well done. There is great detail in the mantis. The background really shows off the detail. The plant is well defined, beautifully composed out of the corner and does not detract from the main subject matter. A very well captured image. Score 15.
An evening storm.
That grey, dark cloud certainly is in keeping with the title and the idea that the photographer had when they took this picture. I did like the warm glow in the sky in the distance. I think Utopia for me would have been just have had one tree rather than two reaching out. But that's just the way I look at images, try and keep it simple. I think the fact that they're off to the left-hand side works well. You have a lot of space on that right-hand side, which are quite dark because of that impending storm. Good colors in the sky, but I did feel that there could have been just a little bit more on the base. And as I say, I personally would have preferred just the one tree. So this one again got a 10.
Quite a dramatic image with lovely colours in the sky. So you agree there. The composition is quite good, with the dead trees offsetting the large cloud mass on the right. Feel the foreground is a little dark and therefore lacks some detail, particularly around the larger tree. The cloud formation adds nice interest to the image. Score 11.
Blondie.
This
Sorry?
is a simple shot, isn't it? I love the fact it's been converted back to monochrome. The details in the mane and around the head is very, very good indeed. A simple, effective white background helps this image, and this one got 12.
A lovely high key black and white image of this horse. There is good detail throughout against a plain background, eliminating all distractions. It says coping, but I think what's the coping? Allows, I think it must be cropping, allows for a good and balanced composition. Well done. Score 15.
Clearing the bar.
Yes, I see a million of these, because one of the clubs in our area is Rolls-Royce Derby, and they've got 2 or 3 of their photographers who got some quite spectacular images of these. This is good. I think the fact that you managed to get in the position where there's no distractions in the background, I think that helps. It has just about cleared the bar there, but it's for me all about looking at the expression in the face, and I think that works. So I gave this one 13.
I'm just struggling to find this one, so at the minute.
It should be next to Blondie. There should be an order, Steve.
They're not. I'm going up and down the blinking list here.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a nicely captured, simple image
Steve won't have it.
that is taken from a low angle to eliminate distractions. The face of the high jumper shows great expression and effort. Well done to the author. Leaves the viewer with some questions. Did he make the jump? And how high was the bar? Leaves the viewer wondering and lingering on the shot, and that scored 15. Dancing lights.
Yeah, I'd love to have lights like this, and it's always a challenge, isn't it? You go up to Iceland and you try and get it, and sometimes you're lucky, and fantastic to those people who are lucky, and sometimes you're not. It's a wonderful skyscape, isn't it? You've got sufficient reflections in the foreground, but it's the atmosphere of the picture that appeals certainly to the photographer and to me. You've only got the one color. Sometimes you get multiple colors, which is quite spectacular. There's a little bit of a warm light on the left-hand side there, which just catches my eye. But yeah, a pleasing picture at 12.
I've got this one, a lovely image of the Northern Lights. The image has been well captured. Not sure what the very day area is located in the bottom right. I don't know what that means. A judicious small amount of lightning in the water on the right may bring out a little more reflection of the mountains. Otherwise, a beautiful image of a natural phenomenon. 14.
Foul play.
Yeah, this made me smile. It's a lovely picture. I think the expression on the young girl is absolutely superb. And to be honest, you weren't expecting to see her holding a chicken, were you? And the color harmony throughout works well. The hair is generally speaking very nicely recorded. On her right hand side, my left hand as I'm looking at it, it has slightly burnt out, rather than the other side where there's got some really pleasing light just picking up parts of her hair. So yeah, that just took the edge off it. But the whole concept, in a field, beautiful flowers, nice color harmony, and it's just that bright area on the hair that just slightly let it down. So 13.
This is a beautiful captured photo. It has been well composed with beautiful subdued lighting with a late afternoon glow. There is fantastic detail in the girl's hair. It could have been taken with a soft focus lens, as the facial texture is lovely and soft. The hen creates a nice story. Little girl and friend, well done to the author. Score 15.
I'm next.
It's a great bit of fun, isn't it? Somebody's had a wonderful idea. I love the diver coming in behind her. That appealed to my sense of humour. But the seal, the cow, and all the other elements, perhaps slightly overdone. I can understand why you included the DAS box there, but do you think it's slightly bright, brings your attention because of the red? I don't know. I think it's a good bit of fun. It must have been great to produce this. And I can't make up my mind whether I'd have included that DAS box. Yeah, well thought through, and another 13.
An interesting composite image portraying a somewhat fantasy scene. I understand the main theme of the large, but not quite sure how the fish and scuba diver fit into this scenario. There seems a disconnect between several components contained in the composite. It is an interesting juxtaposition, but feel the image is trying to tell different stories. 10.
Getting down to it.
Lovely village cricket scene, and I think the close-up of the defensive play by the batsman works well, and then you look at the expression behind his visor and the wicketkeeper. Utopia would have been to have had the other fielder, the slip fielder, face to be perfectly sharp. But all in all, I think this has been very well photographed and much simpler than some of the other sports shots. So this one gets 14.
A nicely captured action shot. A low angle provides an engaging view of the cricket. The batsman and the ball are nicely in focus, as is the divot where the ball appears to have landed. The keeper and fieldsman are a little softer due to the aperture used in the taking of the image. The background is nicely subdued to focus attention on the cricket. Nicely captured image, scored 12.
Morning tea and conversation.
It's a lovely shot of the orangutan, perfectly sharp, and those eyes are absolutely gorgeous. I think the biscuit makes this picture. Now you might feel it's a bit alien to have it like that, but I just think it gives that engagement to me as if he's there sitting opposite me, having a cup of tea and a conversation. The background is very pleasing, but the detail on all of the fur, and especially in the eyes of this orangutan, is absolutely superb. So this one gets 14.
An engaging image of this orangutan. The eyes are looking straight down the lens, and there is a small but effective catchlight in the eyes. The tight square crop works well, eliminating distractions. There is good detail in the face and fur. Very good photo. Score 15.
Deckies.
Clever, isn't it? Simple and quite effective. I think the fact that there's a completely white background enhances this. Therefore, you're looking at the patterns, and the shadow effect of the deck chairs does work well. There's a very slight feeling of the first one that the back leg is floating a bit, but I think that's deliberate, the way the photographer has processed it afterwards. So simple and pretty well effective. So yes, 12 for that.
A simple but very striking image. The monochrome treatment works well, minimizing color distractions. The shadows are lovely and crisp against the plain background. One small critique is it is a pity the middle deck chair is not aligned with the other two. The composition works well and the image is well balanced. Well done to the author. Score 15.
David,
Yeah,
could you repeat the score for that one, please?
12.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Volcano hummingbird.
What was the title, so please?
Volcano hummingbird.
The quality on this is superb, isn't it? Now, often when I see these, there's a slight movement in the wings. So this has been really ramped up very fast. So it's recording the detail much clearer in the wings than you would expect. Wonderful composition. I don't mind the flower. I could have done without the green, just distracting me down into that bottom left-hand corner. Otherwise, I think this is a really beautiful picture, superb soft background, and that one gets 14.
Interesting. A beautiful captured image. There is great detail in the bird's feathers and a nice small catchlight in the eye. The colour in the flower are rather vivid and do tend to distract the eye from the hero of the image. Overall, a great image. Score 14.
If two we got right then.
Down under the pier.
Down under the pier.
Yeah, another classic shot. The textures in the stanchions work well. I think it's also important that it's monochrome, so you're not distracted by the sky, or which could be blue. So you're looking at it and looking right the way down. It gives you a very good 3D effect, and there's like a cross at the very end, which just acts as your focal point through the image. I did just wonder, had it been mine, I might have cropped so that the two first stanchions, just cut into them very, very slightly, stop my eye bleeding off to the edge. So this one gets 11.
A striking black and white image. The centered composition works well. Feel the left and right side are a little over bright, causing the eye to stray from the main subject matter. There is good detail in the timer pier structure. Overall, a pleasing image. Score 12.
Light as a feather.
I personally love this one. I think there's the pastel colors work really well. The whole concept of that white feather balanced against the lady on the other scale works well. But the flamingo wings behind, very delicately overlaying as a texture, makes that picture for me. And those two red spots, again, appeal rather than distract. But I think it's playing on the thing light as a feather very well. You may argue you have to look fractionally hard for the feather, but I don't mind. I think that's a beautiful image, very well constructed. And for me, that got 15.
A nicely composed composite image. Overall, feel the background is a little too bright. The feather gets lost in the brightness. The scales tell the story and have been well incorporated into the composite. Not too heavy. Generally, feel the main subject matter lacks detail due to it blending in with the overall bright background. Maybe try darkening the background ever so slightly. Score 11.
Undercover.
Undercover.
Yeah. This has enormous potential. I love the figure on the bridge. I think that is probably the most important element of the picture. And the youngster, and I don't mind her looking down. I also like the fact that she's carrying a camera there. Possibly would have liked to have seen all of her hand, but in the context of the picture, I don't mind. What disturbed me very slightly was going under the bridge to that bright area. And yeah, I might have been tempted to have darkened the sky down a little more around those towers. But the whole construction, the whole idea works well and could be improved very slightly. So this one gets 12.
The only one I can find similar to that is called Undercover 2.
Yeah,
Is that the same one?
it's the same one.
Right, okay. An interesting composite image that has been quite well constructed. Not sure of the story, whether it is the girl or the umbrella man who is undercover. The plaque on the bridge is a little bright and distracting from the girl beside it. The clouds in the middle ground are dark and stormy. However, the sky and the background under the bridge seems quite bright. Needs to be balanced. There is good detail throughout to make a quite compelling image. Score 13.
Roller tossing cricket.
Yeah, I like this. It's a hell of a big size cricket, but the fact that it's tossing it works really, really well. Again, the photographers handled the background very sympathetically, so you're totally focused on the subject. So yeah, this one gets 15 from me.
I'm just looking to find it. I haven't got it yet. It's not on my list, so
Isn't it? A lovely capture of the roller. The photo is nicely composed with no distractions. The background is nicely blurred and complementary to the bird's colours. There is a nice catch light in the eye. All round an excellent image capture. Score 15.
2 we got right in terms of high scores.
That's 3 now, David.
3, is it? Yeah.
3.
3 out of 20 is not bad.
Yeah.
No.
Hurdling to win.
Yes, well, I think the athlete has been extremely well photographed. The concentration in her eyes is superb, the position of her arms, and you can really get that sense of high hurdling. I think the big debate that I have with myself is the banner behind that on the left-hand side. I keep getting drawn to it and trying to read the writing, which are quite deliberately out of focus, but my eye is always going to it. Now, I do know a number of people who put completely different backgrounds in, and their images score a little higher in the top competitions. But the photographer who's taken this has really captured the detail on the athlete extremely well. Lovely lighting in her hair, and I say it's the expression that makes it. 13.
a great action shot capture. There is great detail in the hurler and a striving expression is clearly evident in her face. The background is generally well handled, although I found my eye drifting to the left, trying to ascertain the advertising on the sign. Well, that's same comments. Maybe toning this down a little would prevent this. The black and white treatment works well for this image. Score 14.
Driftwood.
Simple concept. I like the driftwood, and I love the water, that long exposure, giving that beautiful movement of water. And there's like a whirlpool type effect just below the driftwood, which really appeals to me. As I get to the top of the picture, do I really need that sky? I think it brings a new color into the image. Whereas with the bank, those same colors are in the base of the pictures. So I would have been very, very tempted to have cropped the sky out, just because it adds a new dimension to the image. It's all about the driftwood, and I think the driftwood has been recorded very pleasingly. So 12.
A quite beautiful seascape. The image presents as quite simple, but has great detail throughout. Toning down the sky ensures the eye remains within the main interest area. It will be interesting to see what a slightly faster shutter speed would do for the water texture. The brightest area of the image is beside the main point of interest, keeping the viewer concentrated into this area. Overall, a great photograph. Score 15.
Morning Tranquil.
It's a simple shot, and it has echoes of looking under the pier, the monochrome one we saw earlier. I think the color works very, very well. I love the sky. I think that's in keeping with the mood, the tranquility that you're trying to create. Again, I say I've looked at this on multiple monitors, and I'm a little disturbed by the halos around most of the stanchions there. And I think that just takes the very slight edge off the image. But the colors in those wood, I think does work well against the colors in the sky. 11.
A very nice long exposure image. There is good detail in the pylons. Could possibly do with a little more contrast. It appears the image may have been captured using a wide angle lens, as the pylons are all leaning in somewhat. The cropping may be a little tight on the left and right. The sky shows some movement and has a very complementary colour palette. The water is lovely and smooth. Score 12.
Portal.
A simple idea, looking out the skylight there, and you have got information through it. Has the pattern work at the base of the skylight area, base of the portal, is that adding to the image? I know it's there, but on the right hand side it's getting very dark. I can't quite see the detail, and all I'm seeing is the shapes. So in some respects I think it's overly simple, although leading me up, looking through the skylight there creates an interesting aspect to the image, but it didn't quite work for me. 10.
An intriguing image, has an air of mystery about it. The photo has been well composed and the offset cropping works well. The highlights have been well managed and the definition through the rather foggy porthole. The surrounding area of the porthole works well, fading from brown to a very dark brown, eliminating any surrounding distractions, light to dark. Score 14.
One day my prince will come.
I love this. Again, it's perhaps because it appeals to my humour, and the whole fairy tale thing about the toad, or in this case the frog. I think it works well. The setup of the lady with this appropriate background, you get the sense that she's in a manor garden, some intriguing garden. It doesn't intrude, it's just there. Lovely colors, and I do like the shape. So the arm is extended, so you follow the diagonal of the arm and the lines on her dress to her head and then to the creature. So yeah, that worked for me, and that got 14.
Okay, a nicely composed image. There is great detail in the lady's dress. The background adds nice context to the image. However, the frog, toad, is a little lost against the darker background. Maybe reversing the lady to have the hand and contents against the lighter background would help. Overall, quite a pleasant image. Score 12.
Three's a crowd.
The colors are very vibrant on the players themselves. I think that works well. The texture on them also works well, and I do get the feeling that's possibly been enhanced post-processing, because when you look around the edges, many of the edges are a little soft, and at the top of the hair on some of them are a little soft, as if the photographers tried to soften the background to focus your attention on the strength and power in the rugby players. Good use of colour though, isn't it? Red, whites and blues always work well. And so from that point of view, it's a strong image. If you're going to play with the background, be careful around the edges of the players. But I can still, even now, see some information in the faces behind. 13.
That one's not on my list, Sue.
Isn't it? It should be. Right, a good action shot of the rugby players. The third player is not quite in focus, although this does not necessarily detract from the image. It appears the author has applied a rather heavy grunge look to the image players. Certainly makes the features and grime on the players stand out. The background adds context without distraction. Score 13. That's
4 out
my
of 26.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Harvest Moon.
It's so tempting, isn't it, to go and take these. The Harvest Moon is a wonderful moon. when it raises, it's got this really warm color, and the photographer's done pretty well here. I am slightly torn between just focusing on the top half, just having a little bit of the water, because the moon resting on the cloud I find very, very attractive. But the dominating element of the picture is the reflection in the water and a little bit of grass right at the bottom on the bank. I don't feel, for me, that adds much to the picture. That top 50% to the start of the waterline, I think is absolutely gorgeous. But because of the hole, I'm only going to give it 10.
A nicely composed image of the sunset. The portrait profile works well. Would like a little more definition in the foreground. The exposure has been quite well handled, with the moon sitting just above the cloud formations. A well seen and captured image. Score 13.
Bwcael I Tŷ more at dawn.
Yeah. Boy, I wish I got £1 for every time I saw a picture from Buccaletif Moor. It's a classic shot. It's been worked very nicely, photographed. That slow shutter speed has enabled that movement in the water that I like. I like silkiness in waters. That solitary tree always works well in this picture, doesn't it? And it has again here. Most of the time I see this in mono, so it's pleasing on the eye to see it in color. It's a pleasing shot. It's well executed, one of the classic shots, and I've given that one 12.
A nicely captured image taken at the right time of day. The tree has been nicely positioned in the photo, adding to the middle ground. Fell the long exposure has feel, it should say, shouldn't it? Feel the long exposure has caused a loss of texture in the flowing water. Maybe a slightly faster shutter speed would allow for more texture, minimizing the very bright areas in the foreground. These bright areas tend to drag the eye down, preventing it flowing up to the detail in the mountain and the lovely sky. Score 12.
Oh, bingo.
Full house.
Yeah.
Tea break.
Yeah. Doesn't he look happy? A man at work, absolutely loving his job. So I'm going to stop for a cup of tea. I think the setup is very, very pleasing. To be fair, I think, again, the background colors are so well worked into the image. He has got a tea cup in his hand, but it's the expression that works for me. Just very, very fractionally, the top of his hat's just starting to blend in to the background. But yeah, it's all about the person, the way the person's been positioned in the frame, and that brilliant background. So this one gets 13.
An image that is telling a nice story, nicely composed with plenty of interest in the face and eyes. The lighting has been well handled. However, maybe the brightness of the stove on the left is competing somewhat with the main subject. Slight reduction in brightness would concentrate the viewer's attention on the portrait. Overall, a well-composed image. Score 13.
Can I just ask David to repeat the score? I just missed it, please.
1-3, 13.
That's your score as well. Thank you.
Warhorse.
Sorry, Sue?
Warhorse.
I mean, when you look at the eyes and then the pattern on the protection over the horse's head, I think that works well. I think the monochrome treatment is good. And I do appreciate it's a war horse and there's a rider on it. I just found it became a little bit too distracting, having the figure behind. I don't know how you could have done it differently unless you just took a picture of the horse. It also reminded me of the play and film War Horse, and the emotion that evoked to me when I went to see it. It just didn't quite balance for me, and I think it's all of that distraction on the left-hand side, whereas what I want to concentrate on is the eyes and that wonderful head protection. So this one only got 9.
All right, an interesting image of this dressed up horse. I feel the image would be more balanced and visually pleasing if the head was centered and symmetrical in the image. This could be managed with a slight move to the right when taking the shot. The head and covering is sharp, and it appears some post-processing blur has been added to the background. The differential between sharp and blurry is fairly dramatic. Overall, a good attempt. Score 12.
Cheetahs in the Serengeti.
I thought this was beautifully photographed, and I'm perhaps biased because I love cheetahs. They're one of my favorite animals. I like the alert expression on the adult there, and then the youngster behind scratching the tree. Very sympathetic colors within the whole image. So this one got 14 from me.
Nicely seen and composed image. There are many similar tones throughout the image, and feel the cheetahs got a little lost due to the minimal tonal variation. Maybe a little more contrast in the cats, while slightly darkening the background would create a more impactful image. Overall, well seen and well captured. Score 12.
I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder too. I think there's quite a pleasing expression in the face, and although you can only just see the eye, there's like a dreaminess feel as she looks across the image, thinking, I wonder. I do like the skin tones, the way that's been handled. Careful of the earrings, because they start to grab your attention with the bright light, picking them up, and also on the top of the hat. But my slight concern is the back, and I struggled very badly to see where her head ended and the darkness came in. But from the front, good use of the hands, lovely expression on the face, and that sort of dreamy type effect looking out. I wonder, as if, what could have happened. 11.
Mm-hmm. This is a lovely soft portrait. The black and white treatment really suits the subject matter. The tight cropping maintains the balance in the image, although there is little too much dead space at the back of the model. A small crop to a square might strengthen the image. There is that engaging I wonder in the eyes. Score 14.
Waiting for the shoot.
Yeah, I must have seen this dog before. It's quite popular, but I think it's beautifully set up, and it's all about, the game, going out shooting, the hunting dog, and the colors in the dog are gorgeous. And then you look at the eyes. No, again, I think that works very, very nicely for me. I don't mind the space on the right, but I think you've handled the lighting on everything else very, very well. 14 for that one.
A well-composed scene. Having the dog a little brighter in the image really focuses attention into that area. Hence, the other props complement and help with the story. Feel it may be a little too tightly cropped at the bottom and top. Could do with a little more breathing space in these areas. Score 13.
King Red.
Yeah, I mean, it's got it very close. So you're really concentrating on the texture of the feathers, the detail in the eye and the beak. I think it's been well separated from the background to give you that attention. My dilemma is it a little too big in the frame? I appreciate it's King Red. I appreciate you're focusing entirely on the red. But then if you go off to the left, the greens on the back have just started to get a bit too soft. So if you're going to get in close, I would have liked the all to have been pin sharp. 10 for that one.
Ooh, a very nice clean capture of this parrot. The plumage is quite detailed, and there is very good detail in the head and eye. The background has been well blurred, and the color enhances the detail bird and makes it pop off the page. The cropping is tight, but this adds to the attraction of the bird. Well done to the author. Score 15.
Rock Shelf Storm.
Lovely colours and quite a lot of good drama in this picture. Your eye works from the base, looking at the patterns, looking at the textures. Then you get up to this really pleasing grey drab sky. So there's nothing in here that is, for me, distracting. It's a similar colour harmony throughout. And boy, do I want a grey sky rather than a blue sky. I know the blue sky and the sun would have offset the patterns in the foreground, but I think it's got a very pleasing feel to the image. 13.
A lovely seascape image. There is strong foreground element that zigzags through to the middle ground formation before taking you to a strong background element. Maybe a slight move to the left, eliminating the rock formation in the top left, revealing more of the foreground whole. Yeah, would also make for an engaging image. There is a nice color palette throughout, and the sky is sufficiently dark to hold the viewer's eye in the photo. Maybe adding a little warmth into the sky would complement the colors occurring throughout the rest of the image. Well seen and well taken. Score 14.
Physical graffiti.
Quite a good bit of fun on this, isn't it? It's almost as if she's generating from the wall, a bit like the regeneration of Doctor Who. And then the face and the back behind her on the side, I think, again, does work well. I love the idea that it's been converted to monochrome. I think that enhances the drama of the image. I think overall a pleasing effect. Another 13.
A nicely composed composite image. The face of the girl is lovely and sharp with a fall off down the body. The image on the brickwork are different but nicely complementary. The brickwork makes for an interesting background, as does the scratchy texture, and has been applied across most of the photo. Nicely handled. Score 14.
No steaming.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for steam trains. So when I looked at this lovely locomotive, I was impressed by the position, by the steam and the overall atmosphere of this picture. The downside, which has slightly marked it down, is including the sign on the left-hand side. I know it's there, and I totally appreciate, having gone to many steam railways myself, that you can't always get into the perfect position. But in an open competition like this, I think I would have cloned it out and enhanced that tree behind. Again, for me, I'd have probably got rid of the sky in the top right-hand corner and then extended the red bush and leaves to fill in that top right-hand corner. But as I say, it's got a lot of atmosphere, and it's just little points like that that has let it down. 10 for that one.
This is quite a striking image of the old steam engine. The steam adds realism whilst not inundating the engine proper, allowing the viewer to see all the nice detail in the componentry. It has been quite tightly cropped, possibly to remove distractions. This is not overly concerning, however, possibly removing the signage on the platform would eliminate the distractions. Overall, a nice composed image. Score 13.
You talking to me?
Yeah, what a title. You can just see that in the animal, can't you? Again, it's an appropriate animal to have as a monochrome, and I think the black background helps. I do like the way that gorilla is looking across the picture. I'd have liked a little bit more of his hand in, but I think that the whole expression in the gorilla has been well captured by the title. I do feel, however, that the earlier shot we saw of the orangutan and the biscuit was a much stronger image, much more dramatic. So for me, this one only gets 11.
A nicely captured image of the gorilla. There is plenty of detail in the face and coat of the animal. Not sure what has happened to the top left and bottom right of the image. Seems to be some smudges or cloudiness in this image. This could easily be rectified with some judicious cloning. The black and white treatment works well for the photo. Score 13.
The Runaways.
Yeah, I love this. It just so works. But what makes this picture for me is the youngster sticking his leg out. I think that just sets it off. But you can just see the two kiddies hand in hand. The girl's got a teddy bear. We're looking after one of my granddaughters tonight, and she's brought her Winnie the Pooh with her. She won't go anywhere without it. And I can just relate to that. I think the sepia tone helps this image. For me, it casts me back to the evacuees in the Second World War, and the footage that I've seen in sepia tone. But it's a great old case, but I really like that leg sticking out. I thought it was super. So this one gets 15 from me.
A nicely almost sepia toned old worldly style image. The children have been well composed into the center of the image. Feel the track on the left is a little bright and tends to draw the viewer's eye away from the heroes. The background has been nicely handled, adding context without being distractive. Score 14.
Old Man of the Sea.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, the storytelling element, I think is pretty good. The monochrome certainly helps with the picture. I just feel when I look at this that the waves appear to be really high, really powerful. You've got stormy conditions, and yet the skipper here is calmly holding onto the wheel with one hand and smoking a pipe, as if he's not under any strain at all from the force of the wind. So for me, it looks like it's been slightly too set up. Either that, or he's got the most amazing strength in his left hand, left arm. So doesn't quite gel for me. So that one gets 10.
This is a nicely composed composite black and white image. The panoramic format works well. The angle gives a sense of motion to the image. The lighting has been very well handled, with the focus being on the greatly detailed captain's face. A little smoke from the pipe would be nice. Overall, a very well constructed and detailed image. Score 15.
Plumed Whistling Ducks.
It's a nice shot, isn't it? Again, the photographer, and there's several really good nature shots come through today, has handled the detail on the feathers really well. They do illustrate the ducks very, very nicely. Again, consider cropping a little off that top, that green area just in trues, but I accept that if you cropped it, it does get a bit tight to the top of the head, but I still think that would keep the color balance true throughout the whole image. 11.
No. A well-taken image of these two ducks. They are sharp and there is great detail in the head and eyes, plumage and legs. Feel the background is a little bright and could be toned down just a little to allow the ducks to pop a little more. Also, a very small move to allow the resting post to be fully included would eliminate the sharp edge of the post. Otherwise, a really great capture. Score 13.
The Unhappy Woman.
Boy, does she look unhappy. What a lovely character study for me. I appreciate, again, it's tight to the top, It's all about the emotion that it evokes to me, the detail, the age lines, the quality of this comes over superbly. Again, I think its strength is that it's been converted to monochrome. You could say that part of a scarf or headdress could have toned it down very, very slightly to the top left, but it takes nothing away from what I find is a very powerful image. So this one gets 15.
Not the most flattering image of this dear old lady. The image is well composed with nice lighting from the left, providing good detail in the face and nice catch lights in the eyes. Feel the cropping is a little tight at the top of the image. A rather heavy vignette has been applied, particularly to the right. The background is non-obtrusive. Score 13.
Shining Mountain.
It does shine, doesn't it? And the peaks covered in snow work very well. And I quite like the inclusion of the moon in this picture. Is there enough? I appreciate the conversion to mono, as I've said on a number of occasions. I do love monochrome work. And I do like the top half of that, well, top 2/3 of the picture very well. It's whether I needed the grasses in the very bottom. Did I need them? Does it bring my eye to the base of the picture? If I had a dark base, just looking at the mountain and with the moon, I think it would have been a slightly stronger composition. 11.
A very nice black and white image. There is good contrast throughout, which highlights the mountains. Feel there is a little too much foreground. This could be reduced and give a more panoramic effect. Also, not sure about the small piece of mountain on the left, possibly clone out. The sky and moon add nicely to the image. Sorry. Score 12.
Wheelchair Racer.
I find this very strong. I think again, I'm looking at the eyes, really concentrating on the difficult conditions for this racer. The red works very well. I appreciate that they're in a lane and therefore you are going to have a number 8 and you have softened it a bit. And there's a little couple of highlights to the left of the racer that I could have cloned out quite nicely. But overall, very effective and good detail on the raindrops in front of the head. 14.
Another great action shot taken from a very favourable angle to show the racer's face and expression of endeavour. While the racer is the main subject matter, the eye strays to the bright background on the top right. Toning this down as well as toning down the floor would make far more attention on the racer. A square crop would also work well with this image. Overall, well done. Score 12.
Silo at Sheep Hill.
Well, I like these sort of pictures, these silos, the artwork. I go around all over the place taking artwork. What makes this picture for me is the photographer.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. She's on her mobile. She's recording this wonderful artwork on the silo. So I think it's good. In terms of some of the other images, it perhaps isn't as strong, but visually and storytelling, well, I think it's quite good. So I gave this one 12.
A lovely bright image. The sky offers a nice contrast to the silos. Feel it is a little too tightly cropped on the right side. Also, don't mind the large pole with the person standing beside. Adds context. However, could remove the smaller poles and wires to minimize distractions. Overall, a pleasant image. Score 10.
Bee Eaters with Catch.
Yeah, we saw the very first image was in the same location, perhaps on a different piece of wood, but it's the same location. You got those same grasses and the same soft background. I love the one with the catch. I think that works really, really well. And And for me, overall, it competes a little with the earlier picture. And I might have made that a vertical of just that bird on the right, because I think that it really is strong. The other bird's okay, but it's got a blade of grass cutting into its breast area, just takes a slight distraction, and it's looking away from the action. So that one got 12.
Another lovely BE to capture. The birds are lovely and sharp with nice cash lights in their eyes and great detail in the plumage. Feel the bottom is a little messy and with some judicious cloning could be cleared up somewhat. Again, the background is not distracting and offers complementary colours to the photo. Overall, a great capture. Score 14.
Textures in the sand.
Pleasing textures, aren't they? I like the viewpoint. I like the way that you've got the shimminess in the foreground leading up to the next to the dune, and then that ridge taking you up to the top of the mountain. I think all of it is good. I think this would actually make a better print than a PDI, in my opinion. I think you got a chance to create a good pastel colored print from this. But in the context of tonight, I've given that one 12.
A beautiful composed image having great detail throughout. The textures in the sand, as with the repeating patterns on the hillside, provide great interest and hold the viewer's attention. The tones across the sand add another level of interest, as does the wisp of cloud in the sky. A beautifully balanced image. Well done. Score 15.
And finally, the girl with the blue book.
Lovely, pleasing shot of the youngster, isn't it? And I think the title's quite appropriate, isn't it? And the blue stands out, and then you've got the blue in her eyes. Otherwise, all the colours are very harmonious, and I just like the overall mood of that image. So this one gets 13.
A beautifully captured image that tells the story. There is soft tonal range throughout, making for a very peaceful style. There is lovely detail throughout. The lighting is nicely focused on the girl's face and upper body, with a nice drop-off from the central area of interest. Well done to the author. Score 15.
And that concludes the competition.
Can I please ask for the score for BE to with catch?
Which one?
12 for me.
Thank you.
So UK was 12.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, stop sharing the screen. Right then. So just need to wait for everybody to send the scores through.
That's not bad, is it? 6 matches out of 48. Could have been worse.
Any thoughts while we're waiting for the people to do the maths?
Yes, I just wanted to check the girl with the blue book, the last score, please. I think I might have written it down.
13 for me.
13, I've got it. Thank you. Right.
While we're checking the scores, I just say a few words. I think normally Steve does a voter's thanks. He's been sort of sort the lists out and read the Australian judges' comments. I'll not lay that job on him tonight. And when I do a voter's thanks, you make lots of notes. However, I think in view of the amount of images we've seen tonight and the amount of stuff we've heard from both judges, if I'd have started writing notes, I was going to read them out. We'd have been here until 1 in the morning, so I thought I'd resist that temptation. I think the one thing that comes over to me tonight is the fact that you have 2 judges from 2 different continents. who see work the same but also differently. And you hear the comments that David made, and then Steve read the. Pam, can you tell me what was the name of the Australian judge?
Ask me one on sport.
No, just,
Pam, you're on
Pam,
mute, Pam.
You're on mute, Pam.
I think it was Michael Walker.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just I just wanted to sort of refer to him as Michael or something rather than just the judge. You see, that was
Michael.
But if it's Michael, then the difference between David and Michael's way of looking at things. When you heard the comments, it was surprising that so many of the things that one judge picked up, the other one did the same. On the later ones, I noticed there was that one of it's one of our pictures of the wheelchair racer, and David picked up two little light marks to the left of the racer, and Michael said exactly the same. And you can carry that through to other pictures where there was one of the girl, this sort of a secret agent, was it? She was rich, and it was clear when you looked at it after David and Michael had both made the same comment that he'd made a wonderful job of the sky, but then underneath the bridge there was a lighter part that also needed taking down, and both of the judges picked that up. So it's surprising that they both saw the same good points and the same bad points, but the same things that could have been adjusted. Where the difference appears to be, looking at some of the scores, is that the way that then they take those marks, or they take those comments and transfer them into marks. And although we haven't got the final score yet, obviously, since I did a lot of the work on the competition before coming out here, I know what the result is. So I'm not going to say any more now until we've got the result announced. I don't know how close we are to that. It's a bit like the Eurovision Song Contest, isn't it?
No, we'd have points.
No,
Yes,
and over the years,
got
Pam,
it
England
right.
doesn't do very well in the Eurovision Song Contest. I'll tell you that.
It was a pleasure judging the images, regardless of the differences of score. I think that is quite common. I've judged Australian clubs many times recently, as I've said, but you get it in English clubs, and you get it when you're judging exhibitions sometimes, where one person is giving more fives than perhaps the other two. So it's very noticeable that we'll have differences, but certainly, as I said in my introduction, inter-club competitions, particularly within the UK, you can get very marked differences in the scores, even if the comments are quite similar. It's how the pictures emotionally and communicate with the judge, and we all do things differently. We all take things differently. There's one picture towards the end of a grumpy old woman, an unhappy old woman, I think, and I just loved that. I thought the feel to that picture worked really, really well. Michael had a different view, but that's a sort of picture that can separate two different judges and give quite different marks.
I really agree.
Yeah, thank you, David. And whilst we're waiting for the scores, I really should take a moment then to thank you personally. Firstly, for judging the panel competition and for the work into that, looking at the prints, assessing the prints, and then seeing how they went together within the panel. And it was good to see and hear your comments about that. I thought you talk about the construction of the panels also. Thank you ever so much for that. But also now tonight, it's the work you've put into this major competition. It's the first time in many years that we've had a get together, if you like, with Melbourne. many years ago, when I was a fairly new member to the club, we used to exchange some colour slides and have a competition. That's going back more years than I care to admit. And it was nice. I think I'm right in saying that it was Ian from Melbourne who made the first contact to say, did we fancy becoming more closely associated? And the answer was yes, we certainly did. Yeah, the result tonight, it's been really good to chat to them. We chat to Pam and Ian and one or two more members online some months ago, and I hope we'll continue to do so, Pam.
Yes, it's our club certainly looked on it, the having an overseas competition very favourably. We're only a small club of, I think we were about 40 members, and we tried to spread the entries as much as we could throughout the members. Not all our members enter images in competitions, but we tried to spread as much as we possibly could right through people who enter competitions, from new members to more experienced members. And I think it's something that we hope we can continue doing. Maintaining contact and having, I mean, Zoom is wonderful in that way, in that it enables this sort of interaction between clubs from, you know, opposite sides of the world, really.
Indeed, yes.
And that's one of the advantages of Zoom, and that's something good that's come out of COVID, I expect. But
yeah,
we hope that we can continue. And I mean, our members, the ones that we thought might attend online today, they had various reasons they were unable to attend. Graham, who said he was going to attend, has messaged me that apparently he couldn't get on through the link this morning, but he'll watch the recording, as will a number of the rest of our members, and we'll probably show it at one of our meetings early next year.
Great.
I think it's a great competition, and I know other clubs that have battles with. One has a battle with a club in America. I know from Alan Keane, because I've judged it several times, that Axome have a regular battle with Castle Hill over in Sydney. So it's great to have a relationship with a club in another continent. You see different styles of work, which is most important. You tend to get driven by the style you see in your own country. I think it's great seeing other styles of work. I hope your relationship continues for quite some time, and certainly
yes,
Zoom
I hope it does. I'm sure it will. And yeah, we'll certainly show the recorded version of this if we can at one of our meetings, and get people a bit more motivated. And I mean, the members of our club that did the entries, as I say, they tried to spread it right through, which added to the diversity. And I was very impressed with the diversity of images that came from Doncaster in the UK. And some of those images are just, some of them are the sort of things that we just don't see. I mean, we get plenty of landscapes and that sort of thing, and a bit of nature images, but yeah, we're a bit lacking in portraits, and yeah, we need to try and get a bit more interest going that way. I can see that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head in one respect there, Pam. It is the fact that the English salon, I don't know how it works in Australia, but we've got something called British Photographic Exhibitions. And there are several, I'm not sure if I get how many, David, 20 or so salons each year.
Yeah, I think they've lost a couple. But
they've lost a couple, haven't they? Yeah. And the standard of that is very high. David judges quite a few of these, also judged some of these myself. And that we're sometimes given 3,000-4,000 images to judge over a day or so, or a couple of days.
Wow.
So we see a lot of images, and it's the different genres in different countries. You said, Pam, that some of the landscape, you do a lot of landscape work, and landscapes in this country, I think David would agree, they get a notoriously bad press. You know, so much so that some of the competitions now, they make a landscape section.
Yeah.
Landscapes in a general section seem to suffer. You know, they don't quite get the reward in marks they should do, David. Would you agree?
I agree
do.
with that. Yeah, I think we have our national competitions, and we have nearly every national competition would have a landscape seascape. They tend to combine it. Section for entries, and there are a huge number of entries come through in those areas. I mean, the competitions are really just getting up and running again after the COVID time where everything fell in a heap. But yeah, landscape is the big section here, I would say.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you get my chat message, Ray?
No,
Sorry,
he's chatting himself.
I've been chatting myself.
The jury is out.
Okay.
Yeah, they walked out the door a long time ago. So.
Okay, right, fair enough. Okay. I'm sure you must have the scores, Pam.
I don't have the scores, no.
Oh, right, okay.
Probably Ian has the score, and he's gone off to New Zealand with them.
Right, okay.
Ian is the president.
There's quite a difference between the two judges. After the first round, now I don't have the score here, I'm doing it from memory, but after the first round, I believe Australia led by, I think, 10 or 11 marks. Sue might remember that. But I think
8 points.
Was it 8 points?
8 points.
You led by 8 points. David looked at things completely differently. In England, we'd probably tell him the check is in the post. Because at the end of the competition completely, Australia scored 589, but we got 637. So we did come good in the end.
So you did considerably better.
So,
we'll have to look
no,
at
not
again
considerably.
So, as we say, we need to up David's fee for that one, but yeah, it's all said in fun, because let's face it, we know that the judges looked at it on an independent, totally independent view, and it's just a question of how each one looks at the work and how it decides to score it. David,
Yes.
On behalf of Doncaster in UK, thank you very much indeed for your time and the time you spend looking at all the work, deliberating on it, and online, and giving us your comments tonight. Yeah, and from the UK point of view, we have heard David judge before, and we all think he's one of the better judges we get on the circuit from a point of view of explaining concisely how he feels about the images and what he emotionally gets from them, and treats them, I think, very fairly. So, David, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ray. And sorry, Pam, that I've reversed your score. But
all right.
I've enjoyed seeing the images.
I'm sure our club can handle that, and we will look to gaining higher score next time, perhaps. But the fun for us is just selecting the images and entering them, and encouraging our members to put some, images forward that for selection to send to you.
Yeah, I think the importance is just to see other work from other countries, and some you'll like, some you won't. But I think that's the most important from both clubs' perspective, is to see work from other countries.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Could I just say something, Ray, before we pack it?
Please, Alan. Yes, please.
Okay.
Carry on.
It was me actually who sort of kicked this thing off with an email to your club. And I'm glad I did, actually, because to some extent I've really enjoyed tonight. The images have been fantastic all the way around. But to me, the scores are somewhat irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. I think what comes out of it more than anything else is that we made contact with some friends in Australia, and I think that we should continue for many, many years. Thanks for being online, and thanks for sort of participating with my original idea. Thank you.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. It's been really, really good, and I'll pass that back to the other members of our club.
And I think we've probably been inspired as well. That's come out, what you've sent over to us from Australia, a different perspective on photography as to what we've got.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, I think a lot of the images, I mean, I know they're set in different settings and from a different perspective, but they're still photographs that people have put forward, and I, for one, wouldn't have been able to tell. I mean, some of our photos I recognise from our club, but putting them up there, a lot of the images I wouldn't have been able to pick which club or which country they had come from.
I'm so very disappointed I didn't see a wallaby.
We get plenty of them in our competitions, so.
Yes. Yes.
Get no surfers. I judged several clubs on the East Coast, and inevitably they have surfers. So there wasn't a single surfer tonight.
No, well, there's not so many surfers in Melbourne, I suppose.
Exactly.
Well, we've got wallabies here in Doncaster. We should have put one of those in.
Yeah, that would have confused the enemy.
And I've got a few surfing pictures. We could have really
Yeah.
you there, David, couldn't we? Surfing pictures from Doncaster in the UK.
It was interesting. I judged an interclub battle with Brisbane, a club in America and a club in Cornwall last year. And there was a picture of Whitby. Well, I know Whitby like the back of my hand because my mum-in-law used to live there. And this picture came up and you thought, well, I'm sure that would be an English one. Not that it made any difference, but when I got the results back with all the scores split by the various clubs, it was taken by somebody in America who'd been on holiday.
Yeah.
When we can travel more, we'll get back to traveling. I normally try and I used to be able to get to the UK every year and do some photography. But I mean, I haven't been for 3 years, so hopefully I'll get back next year or the year after.
Well, if you ever find yourself in Doncaster in the UK or in this area, please get in touch.
Yes.
Nice to see.
Something to look forward to.
And thank you very much to Sue, who did a lot of the admin work also on this, and to everyone else who lent a hand. It's just super to have this competition, as we said, with you in Australia. If anyone else has got anything to add, please. If not, I think we can safely say goodnight to everybody. And once again, thank you, Pam, and thank you, David.
You're
welcome.
Thank
you for inviting us and doing all this work and setting it all up.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Yes.
Merry Christmas. Nice
Take
to
care.
see you, Shelley.
Feliz Navidad.
Yep.
Okay.
Feliz
Bye.
Navidad.
Bye.
Bye, David.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, one more.
Have a nice barbecue.
Yes, yeah, we're not having the barbecue, Liam. Is he there? We've decided in the barbecue, Liam.
No.
And Liam knows where we're staying, and next door, the people who run the whole complex have a barbecue evening. But they've put the price up to €35 a head. So your granddad and I have decided we ain't paying 35.
I'm gonna say,
Take it.
yeah.
Honestly.
You get tighter as you get older.
I know.
You title sod you.
You'd pay 70 quid here for a Christmas dinner.
I'll tell you, well, yeah, I mean, the new mill wants €3 a head for Christmas dinner. So we're going to Wham's.
I was going to say, I don't think you'd have even paid that.
No.
Mm.
Before we go,
There you go.
I think your grandma wanted us to say hello. So I think while we're online, we'll just I'll disconnect you from that. Excuse me, everybody, while we just do a quick family chat with Liam.
Not embarrassing at all.
Mine's off too.
I think we're out to look. Have we gone to bed?
Oh, Grandad would have
Girls
known.
have gone to the pub.
We've gone to bed already. Honestly, I've just come round here. There we are.
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. Barbara,
Hello. Hello.
can you hear me?
Hello.
Look at this then.
Oh, wow.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Hey?
14 degrees.
Goodness me. Well, it's been warm
Absolutely.
today, isn't it?
Just like a billiard ball it is.
Oh, I watched the second half. It was very interesting. Really enjoyed it. Hi, Liam.
Hello.
Hi. Did you want to see Grandad?
No.
I didn't want to see, but I thought you was in
No,
here. I was
no,
going
they've
to
gone.
say,
They've
right,
gone today.
they're having an early night. Okay, everyone.
Right.
Okay,
Good night,
good night.
everybody.
Good night.
Thanks-
Good night.
thanks-
Merry
thanks a lot.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
everyone.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
thanks everybody for your
Oh,
help.
hang on a
in
second. Don't
scorekeeping.
go. Liam, don't go.